Welcome everyone to race 3 of round 2 of the GTSOC Japan Invasion series. So in this race you'll be using the Mazda Roadster touring cars around this full track Suzuka circuit. So as you wait for the lights to go out and the race begins, and Inixion and Matt Malek, the top 2 championship protagonists, get away well in the front row, and Inixion is gonna hold his line. Clan Fever slot into 3rd place with Phoenix going wide as we see Dangus onto the AstroTurf going way too wide there and dropping all the way down to last place. So meanwhile the grid is Inixion, 2 Malek, Fever, we got Felix, Ash, Greatness, and then Chris, Benier, Psycho, and the substitute of GTTC Hipster. So coming into the Dagner 1 corners, it's Inixion who is still hanging on there, but Mullet with what a dive bomb into Dagner 2 was clean, squeaky clean, and he goes into the lead. But Inixion is gonna try to come back at him as they want to take every single opportunity that they have. And as we see a lot of ping pong going around here, with Greatness though taking advantage of all that and up into 4th place. Meanwhile, it is the top 2 battling here, heading into Spoon Curve after this long straight, which isn't really a straight, but Inixion isn't able to make the move. Coming into 130R, we see Ash crashing heavily into the barriers, and that is his race gone as he drops to 12th place. Meanwhile, into lap 2, heading into turn 1, who's gonna come out in front? Inixion goes down the inside, but Mullet seems to have better momentum by staying around the outside and just about keep his lead for another corner. Now heading into the chicane, the second best opportunity to overtake, but Inixion thinks that he will go for the move in turn 1, so he tries to get a good exit out of this Casio Triangle chicane and make the move down into turn 1, where it is much harder to retaliate from an overtake. But heading into turn 1, he's just not near enough, unfortunately. Now on to the last lap. Inixion right behind Malek, but unfortunately just goes right into the back of him, and that has ruined his speed and any chances of him overtaking into turn 1. So it's a potentially costly mistake there by Inix, the young Scottish driver, unable to retake 1st place which he started off. Meanwhile here, see a replay of substitute Hipster there going way too wide onto the AstroTurf and immediately spins it. Now into the hairpin, Inixion is almost side by side with Malek. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna try round the outside? On board with Clan Fever, Inixion will go for the cutback, and that gives him a great super run down towards Spoon Curve now. Is he gonna go left? Is he gonna go right? We won't know yet until now, but Inixion unfortunately stays behind for the time being. Time is running out as we've only got 3 corners left to go, but 4 if you count the last corner. So heading into the first of those corners is 130R, but we all know that that is not a suitable place to attempt an overtake, which Inixion doesn't do, but he's gonna stick as close as he can into the Castle Triangle. It is not near enough to make the move, and unfortunately, I think that might just be it. Malek is gonna come home to take the win after some solid defending from Inixion, from Clan Fever in 3rd place, Greatness in 4th, Felix and Chris come home 5th and 6th respectively. Dangus recovering from the first lap incident into 7th. Now on to race 4. It is Group 4 around the Suzuka East circuit. So we've got a varied assortment of cars here. As we wait for the 5 lights to go out, the 4-star check is on, the lights are out, and the race begins. Clan Fever and Inixion on the front row. Clan Fever unfortunately gets an abysmal start, and Inixion up into the lead, and Malek in the Subaru. We all know how good the Subaru is off the line, and from 5th place already up into 2nd. So once again, it is the 2 championship main rivals there into the top 2 spots. Clan Fever drops to 3rd for now. As we see the pack goes through the field, they Felix and Ryan spins it. And Ryan spins it, unfortunately, is trying to make a comeback drive after starting from last in this grid. I think he might have just shoved Felix a bit, and that causes Felix to lose control and into the gravel. So meanwhile, the grid will be Inixion, Malek Clan, Greatness, and then Ash, Chris, Dangus, Heaster. As Heaster just overtakes Dangus, and here we've got Ryan going for a second spin within the lap. Here's a replay and see what's happened as he recovers from the earlier spin. He gets onto the grass once again on the final corner, and unfortunately, that's his race gone already, I think. Meanwhile, here we've got Ash, unfortunately, doing what Heaster did in race 1 and spins in turn 1. Now, up into lap 3 here, we've got a pretty tasty battle brewing, starting with Benier there on the inside of Psychotropic. And he makes the most of what he can, he spots the gap and goes for it. And he's up into 8th place subsequently, with Felix now joining the party and tries to go for a move on Psycho and does that successfully, so Psycho loses 2 places on the bounce. Psycho though with a good run out of turn 2, but it's not gonna stick quite for him. And meanwhile here, onto lap 4, Clan Fever doesn't spin but however loses a bunch of places to Chris and Greatness. Now we've got Slippery there. He might have just punted Dangus a little bit, but I don't think that's of mean intention, but he has gone off. And once again, just like what happened to Ryan there, Slippery is off. About to start lap 7, Mullock with an absolute big brain move there as he spots Inixion going wide just a tad bit there and immediately pounces on the opportunity, but Inixion is not gonna allow this to happen too easily. And is he gonna go back down the inside of turn 1? He goes for the lead once again and takes it in brilliant fashion. And once again, he manages to avoid a near miss of Mullock further extending his championship lead. As here we've got Greatness doing the same thing what Slippery and Ryan did earlier. Now he's down into 6th place. On board with Dangus, who goes off onto the runoff. And then we see him coming into the pits now, the first to make his stop along with Ryan, who's having a really bad day there with the 2 spins he's had earlier and comes up plumb last. Now we've got Benier and Greatness going for the duel, and Greatness unfortunately is the first to go off at turn 1 and visit the gravel trap for today. Meanwhile here, Mullock with tyres that are deteriorating ever so quickly is now coming under attack from Chris. He was going on the move for the lead 10 laps ago, but now he's dropped into the clutches of 3rd place, and Chris unfortunately unable to find that gap to slot into 2nd place. As we now see that behind them we've got Clan and Heaster joining into the party, so Chris better makes this move as quick as he can. So heading into turn 1 here, once again unable to just spot that gap. Or maybe he has, as Mullock just gone wide, and Chris now, could he go up into 2nd place? Mullock dives down the inside, but it's just not going to happen as the next corner, the next right-hander is much longer and allows Chris to keep his position. With now Clan, the second of the Toyota Cats, is now trying to bug Subaru with Mullock as the driver. As we head into lap 18, 4 laps left to go. Inixion is out in the lead, flying away, and behind them we've got the battle for 3rd, 4th and 5th. I think Chris is just about starting to get away. As Mullock in 3rd place here, we fast forward to the last corner where we've got Clan here poking his nose in to try and get that move done, but unfortunately gets onto the grass and loses it little, but not as bad as Mullock, who goes onto the gravel entirely and loses both 3rd and 4th. But Clan gets a penalty, and ultimately the winner here could be Heaster. As heading into the last lap, Clan serves his half-second penalty, and Heaster gets into the final podium spot. Mullock reclaims 4th place. Clan is not going to give up on that, as he goes for an ambitious dive onto the penultimate corner we go, and there's a little knock here from Mullock, but no harm done, and Clan with what a smart move onto the checkered flag. Inixion takes the win in dominant fashion, Chris in 2nd, and Heaster, who what a drive he has from 10th on the grid all the way to the final podium spot. Now on to the final race, which is race 5 of round 2, which will be Group 2s at the Suzuka Full Circuit. So it's the last race at this track before we head to round 3. So on pole is Inixion and Mullock once again, as we now wait for the 5 lights to go off. And the lights are out, the race begins. Inixion crucially needs to get a good start here. It's hard to pass. He does. Ben Malek has no choice but to slot into the slipstream in second. Ash gets into third after Ryan gets a dismal start, as we see one car go way too wide onto the runoff there. So the grid is as follows. Not too many incidents, just Ryan and Ash swapping a few positions, and the car that we mentioned going wide just now, it's GTP Greatness, drops all the way to last. Oh, and what's happened here? And Chris has just banged into Dangus completely. Let's see what happened here with the replay. Dangus getting a terrible exit out of Dagner too, and then Felix passing him. There's a little contact, and then Chris just accidentally, I believe, went into the back of Dangus. So that's quite a bit dramatic here, as we see Felix on the chase cockpit cam. So Dangus goes wide and hurries over to the right hand side. Felix, I think, just turning on him a little. Dangus loses control, and unfortunately Chris misses his braking point too and plows straight into Dangus. And onto the back straight into 130R. It's a tough situation for the both of them here, and ultimately Ryan has to back out. But maybe, as we see, Ash gets a half-second penalty. I don't know for what exactly. But now onto the main straight here. Let's see what Ryan is going to weigh on his decisions. He can either go to the outside or the inside. Ash is going to leave the door wide open for Ryan to try for a move down into turn 1. Is it going to make it stick? Oh, and there's a bit of contact, and Ryan goes wide and all the way onto the gravel. And that is a super terrible attempt by Ryan to try and overtake Ash here, as let's see exactly what just happened. And Ryan just got onto the grass and lost total control. Now onto lap 2 here, as we want to witness Ryan initiating a move on Banier. We see Clan further up the road there onto the wicked AstroTurf, and has fell all the way to 8th place. Meanwhile here now, Ryan, who with his spin earlier is now trying to get a few moves done to quickly regain what he previously lost, as he goes up into 6th place. Easy move on Banier there. And meanwhile Clan Fever, who spun at Spoon Curve now, is trying also to regain his position lost, but he thought it's going to be an easy dive down the inside on the Heavester, but Heavester is not making anything simple for Clan really, as Heavester is going to stick it round the outside at the S's. What a great move there. And here we witness Greatness, and it's just gonna go way too wide, and that's his second spin already in this race, and it's pretty much race over for him. Now onto lap 3 we go. 1/7 of the race distance nearly completed. Clan is gonna go for a second overtake on Heavester and makes it clean round the outside at 130. What a bold move, but no, Heavester is not gonna give up just so quickly yet, and Clan is gonna have a great run through the outside of the final corner, as they're gonna go side by side there. There was a bit of bumps and knocks here and there, but Clan is gonna finally make the overtake done. And here we see Chris becomes the next victim of the wicked AstroTurf, as we call it, as unfortunately he's gonna lose out to Ryan there, who gets an easy 4th place now. And but Chris gonna slot back into the slipstream. Is he gonna make a move? No, he's not near enough to do anything. As now we're on a replay of Felix just getting onto the AstroTurf once again at turn 1 this time, and is beached in the gravel. As we see here, Chris getting really close to Ryan, and he's gonna try a move round the outside of 130R and does so successfully. So Felix, we saw spun earlier in turn 1, it's gonna be the first to box on lap 5. It's gonna be an interesting strategy to see how it plays out. So Ryan overtook Chris, and now Chris overtook Ryan, and Ryan's gonna go round the outside to re-overtake Chris in lap 6 here, which you can see his tires are already short, but he still managed to get the move done, and he goes into the pit surprisingly. And he's the first of the front runners to go for a tire change, which is surprisingly early. Let's see how he'll do in the latter stages. At the back here, lap 7, is Heavester going on the move on Benya. There's a bit of contact there, but all is good. And Heaster is gonna get the move done, swooping around the outside of Benya. And here we see Greatness for the second time in this corner, and for the fourth time this race spinning out. And finally, the leaders, which is Inixion and Malik, go for their pits, and it's a rather successful pit stop, and they come out with no positions changed. As lap 8 here, Clan Fever is the last one I think who is yet to stop, and you can see the grip difference with Ash making it really easy to go down the inside of Clan Fever at the second section of Spoon Curve, and Clan is not gonna hold up his teammate for too long and lets him go at 130R. And Ash has just gone wide, he's gone the dirty air of Gr4, the back marker, and that has allowed Chris to close in rapidly. As down the main straight we go, is Chris gonna line up for a move on Ash? Of course he is, he's already so close. And Ash is trying to pin him to the wall as close as he can, but Chris is just gonna miss out as Ash bravely swoops around the outside to defend his position. Into Spoon Curve we go, as Ash once again gets caught out by the dirty air, and this time he has no reply to Chris overtaking him at Spoon. So Ryan now is the first to make his second stop, which is probably his final stop unless he kills his tire a little bit too much and refuels as well. With the leaders now coming in on lap 14, which is the ideal lap to pit for their second stop. As Greatness there, I think he's totally given up with his race and just pulled over at the side. So it's been an uneventful final third of the race, but Inixion's gonna claim another win onto his account. Malik claims second once again, and Ryan finally doesn't spin thanks to a worn tire situation, comes home in third place. As Chris and Ash is gonna round out the top 5. So what a remarkable 5 races it has been at Suzuka, and we'll see you next week at Tokyo for round 3 of the GTSOC Invasion series.